Hello, and welcome to Solarium, a new food channel I decided to make up because the other day I thought to myself, wow, I'd sure like to know how to cook things, and a cooking channel would be a great way to learn techniques and recipes alongside a group of friends and subscribers, and so here we are, in this channel. And then, my next thought was, apparently, for the first episode, let's make one of the most notoriously temperamental desserts, which I've coincidentally never had nor have I tried to make before. Which would be a souffle. So first I had to look up what exactly is a souffle, because while I've seen them, I've never had one, and I've never made one. I've never thought to even look at what's in them. And basically all it is a fluffy, puffy, eggy little dish that could be savory or sweet. Basically it's made by combining a custard and a meringue. And a meringue, if you don't know, is just whipped egg whites, as far as I know. Now then. What really got me interested in making one is because I don't know if it was just something that stuck out to me personally when I was a kid, but for some reason I remember in a lot of 90s cartoons, whenever someone would try to make a souffle, something would go terribly wrong and it would collapse. And I remember specifically in an episode of Recess, they said just a loud noise was all it took to deflate the dessert.
So beautiful and tasty. A souffle is delicate. A single loud noise can bring it down. Okay, Mikey, ready to...
And looking it up, apparently there's an entire TV tropes page dedicated to the endangered souffle. Is it really that easy to screw up? Well, after I did this, I found out the answer is yes and no. First, I'll just show you the steps I took and the recipe I used, and we'll go from there. So, I'm using the cookbook, The Food Lover's Guide to Chocolate, which doesn't really have an author listed, but I'll link it in the description. And this is a chocolate souffle recipe that serves four. For ingredients, first, you're going to want 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of plain flour, a 1/4 cup of milk, a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1.5 ounces plain chocolate, chopped or grated. Gotta get your food scale out for this one, but for me it ended up being about a 1/4 cup or so. 3 eggs separated, and then a 1/4 cup of sugar. Okay, and now that we got all that set up, I got everything prepped out beforehand. We're going to preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we're going to get at a heavy bottom pan and melt all the butter in it. And then you mix the flour and continue to cook it, and you stir continuously until the butter absorbs the flour. And then gradually add milk, vanilla, and chocolate. You're going to continue to cook that, stirring constantly so it doesn't burn until the chocolate melted and the sauce has thickened up. And then you're going to whisk the egg yolks with that sugar you have until they're light and frothy. I don't know what that means exactly, but this is what I did, and you could kind of see it on the screen. I think that's okay. So you're going to pour the egg yolk mixture into the chocolate sauce and stir thoroughly but gently. This is the custard of the souffle. Now, I set that aside, and then you pour the egg whites into a bowl and then whisk them until they're stiff but not dry. I'm going to pause right here for a second. When they said stiff but not dry, I thought they must be talking about, I don't know. Okay, when you mix egg whites really fast, they make like peaks, like fluffy peaks of egg whites. That's what a meringue usually is those fluffy peaks. But I figured, oh, well, that's what they must mean by dry, so I'll just not get them to that level. No, you want to get them to that level. I don't know what stiff but not dry means exactly, but you want them to have peaks because that's what makes the souffle rise. And that's where I screwed up in this recipe. Oops, but I don't have enough stuff to make another one. So, whisk them until they are stiff and forming peaks, but not dry, and then gently fold them into the chocolate mixture, starting with just 1 spoonful and then gradually adding the rest. So, if you haven't already, grease your little... Oh, I forgot to tell you. You need little ramekins for souffles, so grease your ramekins. You could use a 4-cup ones or a liter one or 2-pint one. Grease those and then sprinkle the base with sugar. I forgot to sprinkle the base with sugar too. so that might help with the sweetness. So pour your mixture into the prepared dishes or dish, and then I couldn't do this because I screwed up on the egg whites, but you're gonna wanna make a deep cut around the edge of the mixture, about 2.5 centimeters from the edge, just a little bit, and then you put it in the oven and you bake it until it's well risen and set. There's no time listed on this, so I guess you're just gonna have to watch. So once it's done, you take it out and you sprinkle with confectioner sugar and serve immediately. That's the thing with soufflés, you have to serve them immediately after they're out of the oven or they will deflate. So first things first now, how did it taste? Like I said, I've never had one, so I can't really judge if it's accurate, but I liked it. If anything, I'd probably like to add more sugar or chocolate because the flavor was so mild outside of the egginess of it, and I also maybe didn't cook it long enough. The cookbook itself didn't really give a specific cook time, so I had to wing it, and I cooked it for about 30 minutes or so. Maybe like an extra 3 would have been really good. It was very moist, so I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. And it was also really, really hot. Because you have to serve them right out of the oven, or they'll do the previously talked about deflating thing, it means they're super, super steamy, and you need to be really careful with that. Don't burn your mouth like I did. I also did have that screw up with the egg whites, so I'm sure if I made it actually correct, the taste and the texture would have been that much better. But I liked it. I still liked it. And my husband liked it. And we have 2 extra soufflés now that I have to figure out what to do with because I can't eat 2 right out of the oven. So is it worth cooking it yourself and giving it a shot? Sure. I mean, following the recipe itself wasn't too hard, and as long as you don't mess it up like I did or open the oven early, your souffle should be nice and sturdy when you take it out. If you open the oven early, like within the first 25 minutes of baking, your souffles will be deflated. It's just like a sponge cake. If you want to check out the book I used, it's like once again titled The Food Lover's Guide to Chocolate, and I'll link it in the description in case you want to pick it up. Lots of European measurements in it, so be sure to have your conversions ready and get a food scale if you need it. Other than that, thank you for watching this first episode. Like and subscribe if you want to. Comment with your experiences with souffles, or what you like to do, or what recipes you like best. If you want to check out another video, I recommend Alton Brown because I watched his after I made mine, and it made a lot more sense to not screw it up. But yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you again next time.